Hey, everybody, welcome to the Not Your Average Financial Podcast live. I'm your host, Mark Willis, certified financial planner and bank on yourself professional. And this day and time, I am with some of the coolest cats on the planet. That'd be Evan Greathouse and Frank Herbik. Hey, guys, welcome.
Hey,
Hey, good
how's it
afternoon,
going?
Mark.
So glad to have you guys. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to open it up to conversations. So if you're watching, as you continue to watch, put it down in the comments what your thoughts are here. That's why we do these lives, for our conversation, for us to get some ideas, but then also for you guys too. We want to make sure it's something that you can get your questions answered. This would be a great chance for us to do that together because I don't necessarily have all the right answers. We're going to be doing our best to give you some of our opinions, but there's a lot here that I think we still need to figure out. And what are we talking about? We're talking about the AI wave. And the last week, we had a pretty wild swing in the tech sector. I talked last week some about this, but um, you know, the tech sector, which is basically 7 companies, are holding up half of our GDP as a country. And candidly, one little wrong move and things could go seriously wrong. And what is the one thing that could go seriously wrong? Well, Terminator, basically. Terminator. That's kind of what I'm wanting to talk to you two about. Are we doomed to serve our robot overlords? Are we going to be their microwave dinner? Or could it be possibly the most powerful, empowering, innovative season in human history?
Mm.
So I want to get your opinions on this, guys. And the thing I want to really hone in on is something that blew me away when I was just doom scrolling candidly on X. I came across an article that at time of this recording has now been viewed and read 80 million times, and it's not a good one. Just gonna say it. It's not a good one. I hate to say it. I hate to ruin everybody's parade here, rain on everybody's parade. But this was a post by Matt Schumer on X. And again, he's warning of an AI causing massive unemployment and inequality, especially if it's unregulated, painting this like super dystopian future where human jobs are vanishing. He says AI will automate 300 million jobs.
Hmm.
I mean, contrast that with the other article I'll bring up in just a minute, but that's a monster article and quite a bold claim. So I want to get right into this first article. First one's gone again nuclear, 80 million views, called "Something Big Is Happening," and he's been deep in the AI trenches. He was the CEO of Other Side AI, and he drops this like wake up call article where he compares the current moment to the early 2020, spring 2020 with COVID, right? Most people in February of 2020 didn't feel that shockwave coming, that the world was about to change until it hit hard. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about. Evan, are we in February 2020 with regard to the AI revolution? Are we on the precipice of our entire lives being thrown to the wind?
You know, it's interesting. I've given this some thought, but um, not as much as I probably should have until, we started kind of preparing for this. I think that, there's definitely going to be quite a lot of change that's going to be happening. Is it going to be, as shocking as the COVID stuff, all of that happened, very suddenly? And I remember actually back in February, of 2020 thinking, yeah, nothing, there's no way that US is going to, the people of the United States are going to allow that kind of thing to happen. There's no way that everybody's going to shut down. And then March came along and I was wrong. Everything, everything that was happening in other countries started happening in the US too. And it was like, whoa, that was absolutely bonkers. Um, but yeah, I don't know if it's going to be quite like that. It's going to look very different. This is more, in my opinion, a little bit more spread out, less of a shock, and something that people can maybe adjust to as things go along. My personal tidbit.
Frank, what do you think, sir? Are we essentially seeing the end of knowledge work? Are we going to be asking our AI, to write our contracts for us and to, be our customer service? Is it going to lead to inequality spiking and job losses in the tens or hundreds of millions? Is this the brave new world?
Mark, I think that, well, we were lucky in COVID. We only shut down for 2 weeks, right? It was 2 weeks to flatten the curve.
Is that what we did? Okay. Seems like it was a lot longer than that, but that's all
Yeah,
right.
yeah, but it started out, they said it's going to be a 2 week, and then 2 years later, we were still wondering where those 2 weeks went. Um,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
but I think that, I look at AI, and I think, number one, I think it's here to stay. And I think it's here to, or it's definitely seems like it's dumbing a lot of people down a little bit. ChatGPT can jump in and ask, we can, and answers a question. My feeling is, where are they getting their information from? Who's programming it? And then also on the financial side, the need for power is just incredible to fuel these data centers that AI is needing to do that. And definitely, I think if you haven't, I'm sure you will start seeing your power prices increasing. I know I'm in here in Northwest Indiana, and people have been complaining for the last 12 months that, power's gone up almost 100% in some respects. So I think we're seeing that here, and even, I can see that from my own utility bills. So I think that we're seeing that here. So AI is definitely going to change the way we live. How? I think that's going to be something to be seen. But I think people are still going to want to deal with individuals, right? We're human beings, so we still want to deal with a person. People still buy from people.
Sure. Man, yeah, you're probably right. There's going to be a certain question. There's going to be a lot of questions around: do the buying habits change, or do we continue to trust that person across the kiosk or that front desk or whatever more than some algorithm, for sure. So that was the first one. That's the big article that everyone's talking about, and then there's been a few responses to that big article, and I want to see if I can pull it up for you now. This one was done by one of my favorite authors, Connor Boyack. He's at about 2.2 million. So if there's anything there, I'd say the okay. Let's see. Okay, it's asking me to. So Connor actually pushes back on the doom narrative. There's this doom narrative in the first one, but this one he says AI is the last, basically, innovation in a long line of tools that essentially just only amplify what humans are already really good at. So it's amplifying our potential rather than replacing it. That's kind of his distinction. So he actually draws the parallel to electricity or the internet or cars. In fact, there's a really good cartoon that just came out from kind of based on Connor Boyack's books called The Tuttle Twins, where they kind of make fun of the people who just carry on with horse and buggy when everyone else is moving to the automobile. So these technologies come to destroy some of the old jobs, but then create more new ones that we can't even imagine right now, and it raises the living standards overall. So he says the biggest thing that isn't coming to steal our agency is not AI, it's fear. Fear is what takes away our agency, not AI. And AI can be, he says, a multiplier for productivity or creativity and even personal liberty. So he says that fear of mass unemployment is really half the picture. There will be a lot of job loss, but he calls it creative destruction. So the old, horseshoe smiths fade away, right? The people who are picking up horse poop in the streets are going to go away as a job, but better opportunities are going to emerge that we can't even imagine right now. Like we can't even imagine what kind of new position your kids and grandkids might have in this great economy. That's the idea that I think he's working on. What do you guys think about that? Is the real risk
that
not AI, or what do you think?
no, that's like right in line with what I think about AI and how it's going to affect all of us. I read both of the articles and very much related to Connor's rendition a lot better than Matt's. I mean, yes, everybody has a lot of the fear factor in there and everything at face value. That's the initial gut reaction that many people are going to have, but you got to do something. You can't just have 300 million jobs get replaced and automated by AI, and then people are just sitting around twiddling their thumbs. Maybe some people who are just shocked and just like a deer in the headlights can't move. That'll probably happen to some people, but the vast majority of people are not going to just sit there and not do anything. They're actually going to go and try to figure out what they can do, So
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see all 300 million jobs just get replaced by other, kinds of jobs, and completely brand new jobs that we could have never even dreamt of. I mean, if AI can do all of this, surely it can come up with new things for people to do with their time, so and get paid for. But yeah, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be something that happens over time. It's going to happen really quickly, relatively quickly, if we are looking at it and everything. But I think people are going to adjust. I know I am. I'm going to take Connor's advice and just start looking for the types of positions that are going to be lasting, that are going to have that people interaction, necessary kind of thing. But and I really like what Connor says, that it's a tool. Like he goes into how the stocking, racks that were invented way back in the day, that exponentially increased how quickly somebody could produce stockings, and knit them, or crochet
Mm-hmm.
or whatever it is. And that whole idea that it's a tool to be used, and that's I can use AI like a tool to accomplish a whole lot more than I ever could have accomplished otherwise. So yeah, it's kind of
That
hot.
reminds me, the three of us have something in common. We have a lot in common, but the three of us, Frank, went to that old car museum a while back in
Yeah,
Detroit. And I
Stalls,
wonder what was it called?
stalls.
Saul's, yeah, yeah. So shout out to them. They had an amazing car museum, and I noticed that kind of they put a timeline of vehicles there, and from the oldest to the more recent, but all of them were ancient, at least 50 to 80 years old. Some 120 years old. Funny,
hmm
some of them were electric cars. Kind of interesting from 120 years
yeah,
ago. But what I found really interesting is the price of the vehicle in today's dollars. In today's dollars, to buy a vehicle when they first were brand new was like 120 grand or something. So clearly it was cutting out most of middle America. But by the time you had, and again, those are in today's dollars, but
hmm
maybe 10 years later, it was only a few bucks, it was only maybe a decade later, the price was much more reasonable, and something
hmm
I feel like even in today's dollars would have been easy for a teenager to pick up a car at some level. So, Frank, what do you think? Are we just going to see this AI become an empowering tool?
I think that as far as on the financial side, we are going to see prices in some areas come down, right? Like same thing, Mark, as far as cars go, you brought up the vehicles, but we saw the same thing with computers, VCRs, DVDs, TVs. As efficiencies enhance production, prices can come down, margins can still stay respectable. But I'll go back to what I said earlier: is some of the infrastructure that we have neglected our infrastructure as a country. Some of that infrastructure to power AI is going to increase uh, uh, prices in other areas. So energy, electricity is going to increase because the infrastructure is going to cost more. But other areas of our life, such as electronics, car repairs, in other areas, that might decrease because because of the efficiency and the knowledge that AI can provide to a greater group of people.
So who was it? Was it Reagan who said if the country loses millions of jobs, it's a recession, but if you lose your one job, it's a depression? See where I'm going with this? So there's going to be some hard changes coming up. I think maybe we would all agree with that. Like there's going to be some upheaval in terms of which job is going to be still possible in this brave new world. We could all guess as to which ones. And I tend to agree with you, Frank. I think the human to human trust is going to go up. That's why I'm doing a lot more local in-person events again. With as many deep fakes and AI slop that's coming out the door, I think that's going to be more important to shake hands again. But more importantly, like I think I want to know from you guys, which industries do you think are going to be hit first? And where will we see, I guess, if you can even peek around the corner a little bit, which industries maybe are going to be less affected or not affected at all?
You'll see a lot of the creative side of things being hit first. Already being hit is like music industry, photography. If you look at our YouTube channel, I think all three of us have photos, headshots that are generated by AI.
Oh no, that's my real face, my friend. I don't know about you. No,
okay, it's not mine.
Just kidding.
Stuff like that. Like those types of things are probably going to help the business owners, but not help the photographers or the music artists who are trying to produce a lot of music. Now, I think, areas that are going to be slower to be impacted are going to be like, car mechanics. Until they get a robot that can literally just go and work on any car and like fix any problem. That I don't know. I think we are going to have a little ways to go before we get a robot that is going to be able to take over a car mechanic's position. And diagnosing it and everything is just, it's going to take some more time. But even doctors, they're kind of saying like doctors and lawyers and things like that, highly specialized. I think aspects of those jobs are going to be taken over by AI, but they're always going to need to have a person involved in, some of these decision-making, areas. They're going to have somebody who's using AI as the tool, so operator. I don't think AI is going to be fully automated to fix people. The same as they're not fully automated to fix cars. So
sure.
You look at it. You look at it. Your service industries. AI is not going to come out and fix your HVAC system. AI is not going to come out and replace your toilet or fix a broken. On the same token, on medicine, my plan allows us to do telehealth. So I could go online. I could talk to a doctor. They could give me a prescription on things very, very quickly. So that part of that industry. But if I fall down the stairs and break my leg, I actually need to see a doctor to do that. That's not going to be taken over by AI. So a lot of the industries are going to change slightly. I think it's going to become a lot of, it's going to increase efficiency. I think there's opportunities for a lot of people. And then some people obviously are going to have to adjust, adapt. But we've been doing that for hundreds of years. I mean, that's what evolution is all about, correct?
Yeah, totally. No, there's some great insights coming from our audience. So I want to bring in some of the comments that I'm seeing here. This is RH Chiefs. He or she says, undoubtedly, power to feed data centers is a significant bottleneck, possibly comparable to the energy scarcity of the 1970s and to the measures taken by U.S. and other Western nations. So that's 100%. A lot to take in there. What do you think there, Frank?
Absolutely correct. Right? I mean, that is what I was talking about, is that our infrastructure is not ready for the AI data center boom. And if you notice over the last, I don't know where you guys live, but over the last few years, Some utilities have put little boxes on your air conditioning units that allow the utility to turn off your air conditioning unit in the summertime for brownouts. So your air conditioning unit will not work, and that is to conserve energy in the grid. So
And
that's
there's
been
there's
going on
even
for years.
towns that are now getting into water management fights with the data
Correct.
centers that try to cool off their servers. Humans got to drink water. Who's going to win that robot battle between it's the Terminator death match already, right?
Correct. Yep, and you can see that in a lot of areas. I mean, Naperville, Illinois is a great example. They've been fighting data centers. You can read about it in the news articles, and other areas in Northwest Indiana and Michigan. You can read about the data center argument overall.
Yep. Well, and then this person goes on to say projecting consumer costs for this will be like the rate of increase of healthcare costs since the mid 1990s. Meaning, I assume that it's going to get exponentially J-curve more expensive, which kind of makes me wonder, both the energy that's going into the AI machine is going to become exponentially more expensive, and also the input data, right? So meaning AI, has already gotten access to every book ever written and all the internet. So now, where is it going to get smarter from? It's going to have to tie into itself if it can. But again, have you ever had a Xerox machine take a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy? I have noticed that the output of some of these AIs is it's good, and it might get a lot better, but it could equally just generate and regenerate a less distinctive product. In other words, I don't see a lot of Hemingway coming out of my AI, if you will.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And
so there may be kind of a peak cost breakdown. Complexity can only get so deep unless there's infinite fractal complexity. So Evan, go ahead.
And it's taken leaps and bounds. It's a lot better than it used to be. But I don't know. Last time I tried to do this, I asked ChatGPT how many R's are in the word strawberry. If you add them up, there's 3. But it told me that there was 2. And I said, that's not the right answer, is all I gave it in response to that. It said, oh, you're right. There's only 1 R in strawberry. And it tried to explain how there's only 1 R. And I was like, are you kidding me? And that's what I responded with. And it was like, oh, you're serious? Yeah.
There's hope for us yet.
There are 2 R's in strawberry. And I was like, oh, there's 3, man. So it can't even figure that out yet. This hallucinating and stuff has gotten a lot better. They're going to fix all of those problems, and it's going to get better and better. But yes, the absolute human, and it's going to have its own version of creativity, but it is working with knowledge and information that it has been given. And where does it get the information that it's been given? From the internet. Where does the information on the internet come from? From people. And so for it to have original thoughts and ideas, maybe it can. Maybe it's going to be a while before that actually happens. Where AI takes it to an entirely different level, and they come up with stuff that we couldn't have come up with on our own.
It reminds me of King Solomon when he said, "There's nothing new under the sun," and also of the reading of books, there is no end. Because I think AI was probably learning both of those truths very distinctly right now. I want to get, these are some bold opinions. I don't know if you guys would agree, disagree, fight back if they're wrong, put it in the chat too. And then hang till the end here because guys, we have some chat prompts that we've written up that I think will help you in your financial future. Hey, I'm no AI expert per se. It's my perspective on what I see things unfolding as. But what we can say is that the prompts that we put in is important. And specifically, since we're all financial professionals here, the financial questions you ask your AI can have a big impact on your financial future. one of the things that I really appreciate about Connor Boyak's article was agency, certainty, and control, which are three words that I value highly on the financial side of things, both for my own personal portfolio and also for our clients. And the bank on yourself mindset says bank on yourself. Don't depend on outside entities. Don't outsource your 401k to the stock market or to the government's future taxation. And also, don't outsource your critical thinking skills to ChatGPT or Claude or Grok or any of these others. AI, I would say, here's my first bold opinion. I'm going to lay it out there. You guys can disagree with me. AI is not inherently evil. I think it's a tool that's shaping us, but it's also shaped by human choices. So flawed humans made it. Flawed humans are using it. It's a flawed algorithm. Okay, so I would say it can be used for evil, just like all other human tools can be. But I'd say overregulation has stifled and will continue to stifle the innovation that we might have otherwise seen, while free markets allow it to flourish. So think about how government mandates might bias the AI toward, voting a certain way, for example. But personal liberty, if we could find like a truly free AI algorithm, might help us harness the AI for our own good. I would say, I guess my big quote here is AI is not the enemy, but bad policy is. What do you guys think? I'll throw that out there. You can disagree, agree. What do you guys say?
Ooh.
I agree 100%. I mean, I think that anything can be utilized, or many things can be utilized for both good and evil, right? I mean, you have a prescription drug, it heals me. If I abuse that prescription drug, it destroys me.
Sure. Yeah.
So AI is very similar to that. It is how I utilize it. I could utilize it to put in and help me with my finances. But at the very end, I think we as human beings and as adults, we have the responsibility for our own actions. And so we need to make those decisions with clarity and with decisiveness and with the information. But at the end of the day, we are responsible, right? It's not the government that's going to take care of us. It's our responsibility.
Love it.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not going to say anything is inherently evil. Without going into biblical stuff and all that necessarily, like I think it is just another tool for us. And I'm not going to say a hammer is evil, just because it can be used to knock a hole in the wall. Like it shouldn't be. It's only supposed to be able to hammer nails or something. Like there's a lot of different utilities for this, and so no, it's not an inherently evil thing. It is something that can be a good thing. And if those who do feel like they're being attacked, like their jobs are being attacked, their personalities, who they are, what their purpose is in this world, like if they feel like that is an attack directly on them by AI taking over that job and making it super easy to be done in half a second,
sure,
but normally would have taken weeks or months even, then I just challenge those people to grow with it, and just take it in stride and then understand, like we're not here to just do one thing over and over again. My biggest fear in life is funny. Before AI ever came out, this quote stuck out to me, but it's I think Les Brown is the guy who said it, but man's natural state is to fall asleep and become a machine. And I don't want to fall asleep and just become a robot, a machine that does the same thing every day. I want to constantly be growing and pushing myself. And so I challenge people to stay away from that robotic, lifestyle and just become more fluid and willing to learn and grow and push yourself, challenge yourself in new ways. Think outside the box.
Man, that's good. I like that. Wow. You said it's man's greatest what?
Man's
greatest
natural
temptation?
state And I'm
Man's natural
paraphrasing a little
state.
bit.
Yeah.
Man's natural state is to fall asleep and become a machine.
Man, that's good. Yeah, that kind of leads me to my second bold point, which is okay, we got to preserve the human uniqueness in this next chapter, whatever it looks like. I think we're going to see a lot of automation of tasks, and we're going to take what used to take us 4 hours to write a great letter or a book, even content creation, but it can't replace our own moral judgment or our own personal critical thinking skills or creativity. So this is where I think if we use AI, we must use it with our principles and avoid like the erosion of truth. I think this is the thing we're already seeing. Like look at deepfakes, for example. Like imagine if there was a clone of Mark Willis on another YouTube channel, or an Evan Greathouse shows up on another YouTube channel, or a Frank Herbik is on another podcast, and you hear his voice and you see his face, but he's saying things that are totally opposite to the advice you might give your clients. It looks like you, it sounds like you, but it's challenging your belief systems. So, I think the big thing of my bold opinion number 2 is we must come back to the dinner table and hang out with people in the real world again, which I kind of am relieved by, candidly. But I want to get your feedback, guys. Am I going caveman here? Is there a way that we can maybe overcome the deep fake? What do you guys think? Frank, what do you say?
Mark, you can look in the chat, right? Bob Hughes, 5369 just wrote, how can we retool ourselves? Logic will be diminishing commodity and more important to instill in the next generation. And in addition to their knowledge, skills, and abilities, right? And I think I always like, someone brought up in the Bible the Paul Timothy factor, which is very, very similar to how we taught our children years ago. It was the craftsman and the apprentice, right? You teach the younger children, and I think we have to go back to Lou Holtz. Used to say, beginning of every football season, gentlemen, this is a football.
Yeah,
we get
start
back
at the beginning.
We get back to the basics, right? Whether it's basketball, football, mechanics, we go back to the basics. And so I think what you're saying is going back to the dinner table is really going back to the basics, right? How to have a relationship with people, how to have a conversation, how to have logic, how to put going back to reading a book, going back to writing a paragraph that's not through the lens of AI, but that is written in a way that that has personality and character to it. So 100% agree. I think going back and then teaching our children that, because, I think one of the great things about Bank on Yourself is we look at what is one of the things that we look at? We look at generational wealth, right? Not just about us. We don't look at how can our money last us until we're 80 or 85, but how can we pass that down to generations? And that is, I think that in some respect, that is a lost philosophy today. And that's one of the great things about Bank on Yourself is that we're thinking about it multi-generationally.
Yeah, there you go. Love it. And then who said, he says, this is Paul, SHIFA. How many couch potatoes believe TV fact checkers or Wikipedia? And who supplies that info? Liberals, conservatives, the CIA? Yeah, before you know it, AI is going to be writing your Wikipedia page. It probably already is. And who is designing the algorithm of that AI? And what motives do they have?
The fact checker.
That's great. Great stuff there. Great comment. And then another one here by Lighthouse. Evan, why don't you read this one out?
Elon has just applied for the ability to put another 1 million satellites for solar power data centers. So even the methods for AI infrastructures will be shifting greatly in the next 10 years. Which
that's it. Yeah.
That's intense. Yep. I mean, for Elon is putting probably more effort into AI than we are aware of. I imagine he's probably like Tony Stark, where he has his like own, you know, insane invention room that could pretty much build anything he needs. And he probably knows a tremendous amount more than what we currently have access to. But I think through his efforts, he's trying to accomplish some pretty big dreams, and a lot of what we can accomplish as people by following Elon's lead on that, and is just aiming bigger than we could ever have imagined. Not everybody's built like Elon. Elon's probably a one in 100 million kind of guy, the way that he operates and everything. But not everybody can be that. I know I can't. I'm not trying to be, but we've still got to push for more, though, I think, than what we are currently looking at.
You bet. Yeah, I think we're certainly not done with the AI revolution right now, but I think the thing I'm wanting to really push here today, and then I want to get to these prompts that I think everyone would like to see, is the focus in on critical thinking skills and personal liberty. I think that agency is a choice. You can swim upstream, but only if you choose to do it. If you just let AI and the rest of the culture kind of let you push you downstream, you'll go into the gutter, and you'll look and sound just like the slop that comes out of most AI algorithms, And I think you know what I'm talking about. If you're just copy pasting your resumes that you got out of an AI prompt into your Word documents, you're not going to get the standout requests and callbacks when you're trying to find a job. And you're certainly, if you're again copy pasting your love letters to your dear one on Valentine's Day coming up tomorrow from AI, they're gonna know. Okay, so find a way to keep that personal sense of control. That's what the Bank on Yourself approach is all about. And don't take financial advice from an AI prompt that you, I guess, wrote in 10 seconds. And that's a good segue to what I want to bring up next. Last week on our podcast, we had a fairly engaged audience on this topic, and which is how do you ask AI about your financial life? And particularly, how do you suss out what's fake and real about financial tools and strategies, including the Bank on Yourself strategy? How do you ask AI to tell you the truth about Bank on Yourself and about Wall Street and about retirement planning? That's what I want to spend a little bit of time talking with you guys about and with our audience about. But first and foremost, tell the truth. Evan, have you ever AI chatted your favorite prompt engine, your favorite chat, anything about like how do you do ... with regard to your finances? Like what's the best way to prepare for retirement? Is that something you've ever dropped on a chat GPT?
I mean, nothing specifically. I'm not going to take financing advice from AI just yet. But I use it more of as a thought tool to think through things. So the closest that I'll get to that is, I don't know, asking it about the crypto market. Hey, why is there so much fear in the crypto market right now? And it'll tell me reasons why it thinks that the crypto market is fearful at the moment. And then you can go and kind of verify the information that it gives you from that point on. But it does a great job searching a lot of different things and then giving you a condensed version of what it finds in an easily digestible way. So that's pretty much what I use it for as far as just financing goes.
And Frank, what about yourself? Are you finding that other people are bringing you their chat conversations and saying, hey, Frank, you're showing us these incredible claims about Bank on Yourself, but AI says ... Does that ever come up in your conversations?
Not the ... I think that people are utilizing AI more. but I think when you look at when you put in the true information, Mark, that into AI, like, hey, this is a bank on yourself policy with a non-direct recognition carrier with a carrier that's paid dividends for multiple years. I think it could give you some good information. Do I utilize it in my practice and on a regular basis? No. Will I go into it for advice? But the same thing, once it gives me that advice, I don't look at it as truth. I then go back and look at it and go, how can I compare it to, number one, what I know? It's a tool. It's a tool. It's a tool in the toolbox that if you use it, it can be beneficial, but it's not the only tool.
Well, let's jump into some ways you can use the tool better. I've used a hammer on my thumb before, and that's not a great way to use the tool.
Exactly,
so
correct.
I want to show you
Don't
guys
recommend it.
some ways to avoid the hammer on the thumb. Here's what we've been working on with our clients. That's been, I think, mostly very useful, and we are ready and prepared. If you go to notyouravg.mn.co, and if Julia is listening, if you can add that to the bottom of the page of our screen so folks know where to go, you can get this prompt pack ready for your download pleasure. We're going to walk through it here, but if you want all the prompts, you got to go to notyouravg.mn.co to get it. Here is some of the prompts that we're using, and they're ready. They're copy and paste ready. So if you've ever wondered exactly what to do when you're talking to AI to get some real answers, not just the slop that comes from, MS Money or CNBC or some of these kind of generalized, just crank it out pap that hits the most of the money articles out there. That's going to be what I think changes the life, changes the life of most of the people listening today is, can we talk to AI in a way that helps us rather than hurts us? So I'm going to go down through through some of these prompts. I guess I'm going to try stop share. I see there's an extra source or something happening here. There we go. Let's see if I can get it back up here. And there we go. So these are, again, this is a bad prompt. Here's an example of what to not do. Bad prompt. What's the best way to save for retirement? That's what most people are typing into AI, right? What's the best way to save for retirement? When you ask that, what do you guys think AI is going to say? It's going to say, oh, invest in diversified stocks and mutual funds and low cost and tax deferred and ... All the stuff you can hear Dave Ramsey and Susie Orman screaming on their TV shows. So that's the wrong way to ask AI. What's a better way to ask it? How about this? Compare the historical net returns and liquidity of a properly structured dividend-paying whole life insurance policy from a mutual insurance company using paid-up additions versus a total stock market index over a 30-year period that includes at least 2 major market corrections, include the impact of a policy loan at current dividend rates, and assume that the policy is with a company that's paid dividends every single year since the Civil War era. Whew! I'm already excited to see what your favorite chat program would say. Evan, what do you think? What kind of results would come out of that? And give me some feedback on that first good prompt.
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely going to yield some better results. I had a client shoot me a screenshot, and this was a screenshot from his nephew, apparently. And the prompt was, what are arguments against bank on yourself? And it came up with a bunch of arguments against it, high fees and all the things that Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey will tout and everything. And I said, I could do the same thing. What are arguments for in favor of bank on yourself? And I sent them a screenshot back. I said, it all comes down to what the prompt is. And, I'm really excited that we're doing this, because now I'm going to send in this video and your other YouTube video and just say, hey, try some of these prompts and see what your nephew says.
Man, that's good.
Yep. This is going to produce some actual comparable results that you can look at and analyze. And what's really key and crucial here is that this is going to break it down from a relatively unbiased perspective. The AI is attempting to be unbiased. If you tell it to be unbiased, it will be unbiased. And that is key, because so many people just know what they've been told all of their lives. And they're just simply wrong because the people telling them were not giving them the full picture, not telling them the information as it pertains to their situation. There's so much more to it than whole life has high fees and stuff. Yes,
Sure.
it does.
Yeah.
But how do we overcome that problem, and go into those details and so on. So this is going to help a lot of people with not just getting spoon fed the same thing that they've been fed all their whole lives.
Love it. Love it. Frank, I'm going to pass this next one to you. This one's called the stress test. Whew. Okay, here we go. You're a skeptical CFP who hates whole life insurance. Your default position is that it's always a bad deal. So talk about unbiased, right? Now, examine a bank on yourself type dividend paying whole life policy issued by a mutual insurance company with non-direct recognition loans, paid up edition rider, and a blended design with at least 50% paid up editions in year one. The insured is a healthy 40-year-old male depositing 50 grand per year for 10 years. Show me year by year cash value, death benefit, and cumulative outlay through age 100 using 2025's dividend scale with a company with over 150 years of uninterrupted dividends. Then tell me, AI, honestly, if you can find a safer asset that grows at a similar compound rate with similar liquidity and zero market risk. Whew, it's hot just reading that. What do you think there, Frank?
The data center just blew up. When you do that, Mark, it actually comes out with some great funding applications over the next 10 years. It asks you if you want to go down even farther. It gives you some great ideas on both premium and death benefit based on general market analyses. And it tells you that it can't predict any specific carrier because every specific carrier might be slightly different. And that's the great thing about where we are as Bank on Yourself professionals is we really work with some of the top carriers. And I think AI gives a lot of good information in there. And I took that, I put that into AI yesterday, and I was very surprised at some of the results. It was very, very good. And it came out with a moderately unbiased opinion. And it says, this is what's good about it. And so I thought it was pretty cool. I thought it was very, very
awesome.
cool.
Well, thank you, Frank. Yeah, I think everybody should do, and we're not going to go through every prompt because that's why it's our little hook to get you to go to our community, which is notyouraverage.mn.co to get the rest of these prompts. We've got the tax bomb scenario and lots more. I'm telling you guys, this thing is awesome. So go check that out. But what I want to do in our last 5-7 minutes or so is just ask everybody, and that includes my awesome guests and also the audience, a couple of questions. Okay, so truthfully, honestly, right? What's your biggest fear about AI's impact on jobs or the economy? All right. So think about it, put it in the chat. Hey, Brandon, I see you're on there, sir. Hey, Brandon, thanks a lot, man. Go ahead, Evan.
Bob Hughes, he makes a very good point to that, to answer your question. How can we retool ourselves? Your question was what? What are some of our biggest
fears about AI's impact?
And yeah, I mean, I resonate with Bob. The diminishing commodity, the inability to think on our own.
Yeah, that is a diminishing commodity. By the way,
that could be a problem, and it's up to us to teach our children. Ultimately, our children are going to have to figure this stuff out. They're going to have to rise to the challenge. They're going to have to think and use their brains and not just rely on AI. And hopefully, AI will actually, has been really helpful for me in organizing my thoughts so that I can be a more effective contributor to society. And so, but instilling that in the next generation, that's probably like, if you had to say a fear or concern, that's probably one of the things that I would say. I would agree with Bob on that front.
All right.
I
Got
think
another one. Go ahead,
I
Frank.
think Mark, for me, I think it is as human beings losing our assessment skills and our analytical thinking skills, right? I mean, I remember, I think we can all remember when we drove our car and we hit the brake and we felt that little scratchiness as we pressed that brake pedal down. And you're like, oh man, my pads are gone. I got to get brakes.
Mm-hmm.
Now we look at our control center and it says what percentage of brake pads we have left on the front and back on our cars. So I think that, same thing with oil, right? It tells you how much percentage of oil you have left and everything is taken up. And then it's same with medical, right? You go into the hospital with chest pain, somebody has to decide whether that's a heart attack or pleurisy or pneumonia or a pulled muscle. So all of those assessment and analytical skills, whether it being on a home services side, deciding what's wrong with your furnace, whether it's in your car or whether it's on your body, somebody has to make that decision. And I think that is where my fear is that we need to stay sharp on our analytical and our assessment skills.
So good. Yeah, I think that's kind of my big takeaway is sharpen the axe. Time to sharpen the axe on thinking and critical thinking and using all the tools possible. I'm going to wrap with this. Oh, go ahead, Frank. Go ahead.
No, Bob said, Bob wrote, he's been very active in the chat, and thank you, Bob, that Thomas Jefferson said a well-informed, educated electorate is the essential foundation for a functioning democracy.
And most importantly, I would say too, in addition, the only reliable guardian of liberty.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we want to live free, if we want to think free, if you want to have someone else or something else think for you, we got plenty of tools on the web for that. But if you want a guardian of liberty, then that's a well-informed, educated electorate. That means you. That means me. Keep thinking. Rethink your thinking. That's what Nelson Nash would always tell us, is to think differently about your money, your economy, and your future, is what we say at the end of every episode. So have that continuous 4-pound knot of neurons powering your little power station up there. Keep spinning that crank and keep thinking differently. So Evan, Frank, final thoughts.
Man, I think this has been a really great show. If there is anything that you can get out of this, I think that last point right there is, a really great takeaway. If that's all you take away from this, is just continue to think, continue to grow, push beyond your current boundaries. There's a verse, several iterations in the Bible that talk about refinement and the process of being refined. And I love that analogy because in order to be refined, you got to get placed right in the middle of the hottest point, and it's uncomfortable and it melts you and it changes you physically. And, it causes the dross to rise to the top, and then that can be scraped away. That whole process is going to make you into the perfect version of yourself. And if you aren't being refined, if you aren't getting put through, the hottest parts, if there aren't any challenges in your life, then go and find something to be challenged by, and don't just settle for, I'm coasting, keep going.
Right.
Keep pushing yourself.
Well, very good. That's a good one to end it on there. Evan, remove that dross. And thanks, RH Chiefs, for that little underline. So don't forget, guys, to like this video. If you stayed till this point, you must like it. So now's your chance. And don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with next week's live, the next episode we're dropping. Evan, Frank, where can they find everything you guys are all about to reach out to you as well? Evan, we'll let you go first.
You could go to greathousefs.com to get to my website, or look me up. I'm on LinkedIn or Facebook, of course. But in order to get in touch with me, Evan at greathousefs.com is the best way to contact me.
And you can reach me at frank.herbik, that's HERBIK, @gmail.com.
Two of the best guys I know. So thank you guys both for coming on, and we will catch you guys next time.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having us.
Mm-hmm.